channel. I'm so sorry I've been MIA since I want to say since November. But I'm excited to be back. Just so much has been going on that I haven't been able to post recent videos, but hopefully I can start posting more. Hopefully I can do an update, like what's been going on in our lives. This video is going to be about why we feel like Military Children Awareness Month is important to us. And I know it's also, I don't know if it's Awareness Month-ish. I know it's Autism Awareness Month as well. It's the end of April. It's been all of April, obviously. And I just haven't had time to post about this. And the reason why I wanted to speak about this is because I posted a profile picture on Facebook about Military Children's Month, and it just had that like on the frame part, and a relative of mine asked me why it was so important, just out of curiosity, I guess. And so that's why I feel like it's important to touch on this issue, like well, why military brats? They're just, like ordinary brats. But we have an excuse to call them brats in a sort of way, I guess. By the way, this video, you can definitely just listen to it. Like if you're going to be doing something and listen to this video, you're not going to miss anything by doing that. You don't have to watch me. I look tired. You probably don't want to watch me anyways. It's the end of the night. It's been a long day, to say the least. So, yeah, just a little heads up. So, just to kind of recap, me and my husband got married 2016, and then we immediately got pregnant, and then he deployed when we were 4 months pregnant, 4 months married. And then he did not get to come back for the birth. He came back when our son was about 3 months old. And thankfully, during that time, he was deployed. We were surrounded by family. We were surrounded by friends. We had such a great support system. And then also, on top of that, my husband was able to video call us pretty often, a whole lot more often than I thought we would be able to video call. So my son heard his voice, and my son got to see him in a small, frame on the phone. And that was a huge blessing, because when he came back, my son immediately recognized him and immediately started smiling. And it was a very precious moment for us, and it was great, but the adjustment was it was hard, but it wasn't hard. So he expected, I think my son expected him to go away like he did on the phone, like, oh, someone that can make me giggle for a bit, and then they go away. So that was kind of hard for my son. He expected that, and then he expected mommy to himself the whole time. And then after that, we were staying with my parents when he was deployed, and then we were able to buy our house. We moved. Then he had to get used to not being spoiled by grandparents. And then after a few months, we got orders to PCS, which is Permanent Change of Station, is what it stands for. And it's not permanent, but it's supposed to be for like as long as your new reenlistment time is, which of course can change if you're active duty. Anyways, so we moved to Washington State after that. So we moved in November to the home, and then by June we moved out of Texas to Washington State. And that was a huge change for him. The travel part, he did awesome with. He's a pretty easygoing toddler. He's great at traveling. He does awesome on the airplane. He does awesome with long road trips. and what he did when we went to Washington. And so anyways, but the adjustment part, like it was another adjustment. So he went from like very hot weather, seeing the sun every day, all day, to not seeing the sun for a few months at a time, seeing rain all the time, not being around family, just being around me, going from a house to an apartment, going from hearing English and Spanish to just English for the most part. And all that adjustment he had to really take in, I guess. He took his time adjusting. He took his time soaking in what's going on, that he was delayed with other milestones. He didn't start walking until 17 months. He still doesn't talk as much. He still doesn't eat on his own. And when we went to the pediatrician, we brought these concerns to her, and she said he may have autism. And so she took us to a specialist to evaluate him. It turns out he doesn't have autism. He's just delayed in his milestones. They call it global delays. He was, I want to say like 20 months. I think 20 months when we took him to the specialist. And she said that he was like at a 9-month-old level. So, and she did mention that going from Texas to Washington, all those adjustments that he had to make did delay him. And those delays are keeping him from socializing, because he's not socializing like at a toddler level yet. So his socializing is awkward. So that's why people would right away think, oh, autism. But it's not that. So anyway, so that's like his challenges as a military child or a military brat so far. And that's just the beginning of his life. And a lot of people say, well, like my relative that mentioned that was saying, you guys chose to be in the military. We did choose to be in the military. My husband wants to make a career out of it. That is 100% correct. But my son did not ask to be born into a military family. So it's just a little harder to see, like, he's struggling he's sacrificing for something he did not ask for. And I'm not trying to make this video like, oh, woe is me or woe is my son. It's just trying to make people aware of challenges that some children may face. And then when we go back to visit Texas, he, gets attached to some relatives. He knows my mom, his grandma, as Nana, and he'll constantly ask for Nana, and I would have to tell him, Nana's in Texas. This morning, my son and I dropped off my husband at work because he went to the field. He's going to be gone until the beginning of May-ish, like the second week of May, he'll be back. So anyways, my son last night was like very clingy to my husband when he was packing. I think he now recognizes, oh, here's his army luggage, and that means Dad's going to be away for a bit. And so he was kind of clingy to him all night. He like wanted to cuddle with my husband. And then this morning, so we dropped off my husband at work, and then we're going home, and I turned on the radio and I heard like this weird breathing. So I looked behind me to see my son. I looked behind the mirror thing, and he's crying, like silently crying. Just, he makes pucheros, like frowns, and he was crying a lot. And then I was telling him, it's okay, but baby, we're gonna go home. So we get home and he's asleep, but like his whole face is wet from tears. And then all day he's been clingy to me and very sensitive. So it's just, at this point, I think every stage when their dad goes or their mom, the military, their military person goes away, I think every phase is going to be different. But right now, for him as a toddler, it's hard for him to explain and ask questions, and then it's hard for us to explain to him because the communication is limited. The speech, what he knows, what he can understand is limited. And just because he's delayed on stuff doesn't mean he's dumb. He recognizes, he knows, oh, when dad's army bags come out, that means dad's going to be away for a bit. He knows these things. He's smart in different ways, and all these kids are smart in ways that we don't give them credit for, right? So that's hard. It was a rough day today, and I'm pretty sure later on it's going to be, hard in a different way. Maybe he's going to express more anger. Maybe he's going to, be more short-tempered. I don't know. I know every kid is different. There's a military spouse friend, her kids, they're all different ages, and they all express how they feel in different ways. Another friend of mine, her husband just got deployed and she just had her baby. I think her baby's about 3 months old, I want to say. But when her husband comes back, they're going to struggle to adjust in their own way. It's going to be different for everyone. And I do acknowledge that other, other occupations, other careers require one of the spouses to leave for a certain amount of time. My nephew, his dad, my brother-in-law, he's a truck driver, so he's gone, I want to say 5 days out of the week, around there, and he has to get used to, not get used to it, but he has to adjust to that, and that becomes, I feel like it's more of a routine. It's for a long time, yes, but it becomes what they know. And in the military, there are so much unknowns. There are so many unknowns. There are so many changes. You don't know where you're gonna go next. After the next, if you enlist again, you don't know the challenges you're gonna face. And that's not something the kids ask for. They have to make new friends every few years. It's a lot. Sometimes their dad is gone 2 weeks. Sometimes their dad is gone 24 hours. Or I shouldn't say just dad. Sometimes it's also the mom. But sometimes their parent is gone 6 months, 9 months, a year and a half, 24 hours. It's just, there's a whole spectrum. There's some families where they don't get deployed, but they work a lot, or they train a lot. And it's just different every year for how long their parent is gone. And there's no way to really know. There's no really set plan. So there's not really a way to prepare them for those changes. And like I was mentioning earlier, why it's so hard for me to see him miss his grandparents. When I was growing up, I had grandparents, and then we moved from California to Texas, so then we missed out on grandparents then. But then when we moved to Texas, we were closer to my other grandma. So that was something that I wanted my children to not have to worry about. I wanted them to learn so much from their grandparents. I wanted them to have that bond with their grandma or with their grandparents. And my children may not fully have that. They may go through the same thing I go through, that I went through. And so, so there's just a lot of things to consider. But nonetheless, a lot of parents go through challenges, and a lot of children go through challenges during their childhood, and hopefully they come out stronger. And when you know that there's, a parent leaving, and then there's a mom staying home or dad staying home, whether it be a mission trip, whether it be just their career, how their career is. I encourage you guys to reach out and ask how you can pray for them, ask how the children are doing, and ask how you can be of help if you're, in the area, because it's really hard. And people say, oh, you get used to it, and it's just, you expect to get used to it one way, and then the next time it's a totally different experience. So it's kind of like you never get used to it. You just get used to the difficulty, I guess, of it, and you just learn how to rise above it regardless. And I think that's what's good about it, is that, you'll get through it again. Yes, it's a different situation, but you're going to get through it again. So when you show that to your kids, like, I'm like rattling my brain how to get my kid distracted. And so I'm not really focusing on how much I'm going to miss my husband, how much, I don't know what can happen if we get a flat tire. I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have anyone to call. I'm on my own, in a sense. But I can't worry about that, and I'm just so focused on my son right now, and making sure that he's okay, making sure that he's still eating okay, and making sure he still has a schedule, he still takes his naps, all that good stuff. And so that's my challenge right now, is to keep good focus on my son, and helping him through this, because now to the point where he realizes it, and he doesn't really know how to ask what's going on, and I don't really know how to explain to him what's going on. So that's what this video was about. I hope it gave you some insight. I hope it encouraged you to reach out to other parents, and have a blessed day. Thanks for listening or watching, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully I can keep up these videos. Again, please give this video a thumbs up or thumbs down if you did or didn't like it, and leave any comments, questions, complaints, suggestions in the comment box. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.